Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Aspire. Today I have a very good friend of mine here with us today. His name is James Friedenberg, and I'm super excited because today's topic of discussion is talking about mentorship and the importance of having a sounding board, as I feel as though that's something that he's taught me that's very great to have. So, as always, I like to start out with two questions. One is tell us a little bit about yourself, and two, who and or what inspires you to succeed?
So first, let me say thank you, Rochelle, for having me on. It's a great pleasure to be honored to be on your show. A little bit about myself. I am 56 years old. I am presently been married to my wife for 8 years. Tiffany will be celebrating our 9-year anniversary a week from Wednesday on November 24th. Um, couldn't ask for a better soulmate. Um, growing up, I was around the military growing up, and when I got into high school, I started my working career, and during that working career in the grocery business is when I started to learn more about, truly having a mentor or learning from different people. And um, after getting out of the grocery business, got into the banking financial industry, and presently I'm working in the auto finance industry. So that's a little bit about me. Um, the second question was,
Who and or what inspires you to succeed?
so who or what? It actually would be a who, and that would actually be my wife, Tiffany.
Aw.
Um, she is a great support through the time that we've been together. I have had my own barbecue business, catering business. She has ventured into a few different businesses as well. And it's just great to have the support from her so that it can help both of us succeed.
Love it. I love it. I love it. That is the biggest thing. I feel like one, congratulations on celebrating. Sounds like it's on Thanksgiving. Is it on Thanksgiving Day?
It's the day before.
Okay, this is the day before. Wow. So you've got a double celebration there. So congratulations to the both of you. That's such an amazing mark and journey. So
Thank you.
sure thing, sure thing. So my first question to you is what is the importance and why is it important to have a mentor?
So for me, and why I, talk to people about having a mentor, why it's so important is if having somebody there that can help guide you, that can be a sounding board that has no skin in the game, so to speak,
Mhm.
um, because unless you're your own boss, you have somebody that you report to, and you don't always know how the best approach is to talk to who your leader or even others. And having that mentor there, especially, I tell people, when you go into a mentorship, you being the mentee, not the mentor, need to have, what do you want to gain from it?
Mhm.
Is it, do you want to become better at communicating with your peers or with even your spouse? That type of thing. Or is it you want to learn a different skill, such as computer programming? Um, and you can actually have more than one mentor.
Okay.
Um, I look at mentorship as, it's something mutual, where both people can potentially gain and learn from it.
Okay.
But, the person, again, that is wanting to be mentored, they need to be the one driving that mentorship,
Okay.
um, and sharing what they want to gain from it. So.
Gotcha. No, that's really great stuff. I think, digging a little bit into it some more. A lot of people just think automatically, oh, let me like just get connected with somebody because I need a connection to this job that I really want. So a lot of people tend to go to a department that they like and then tap somebody in that department and say, hey, can you be my mentor? But they really just want to use that person, not really build a relationship with them, and not really have a give and take. And I get it from a mentorship perspective. Like you said, the mentee is the one driving it, but take the time, right, to kind of build that networking opportunity and build that relationship, not just use that person. I mean, I guess, is that the best way to put that? Or
Well, it's a great way actually to put it. One of the things for me is, you know, I feel like I unofficially mentor quite a few people.
of
Um,
course, I feel the same.
and 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 it's not so much always them coming to me for that advice or help, but it's just seeing something in that person and going, I've got something I can offer to help this person
Okay.
out. Would you consider that a true mentorship? Probably not, based off of the definition of a mentor. But my job, especially where I'm working now, is I want to build and grow people and make them better and help them get to where they need to be. Um, and a lot of people that are in this type of role will look at it as, oh, if I teach this person how to do X, Y, Z, they're going to take my job away.
Mhm.
Um, and one of the things I look at within, when we're talking about a mentorship or just that helping hand is I have to prepare somebody to be able to step into my shoes so that I can step into the next role.
Okay.
Um, and that's how that relationship can end up being very strong.
That's awesome. That's a good way to put that for sure. You know, you not only are is the mentee benefiting from it, but the mentor is benefiting from it, right? Because they're able to teach, train, build up somebody, and they're also getting that skill sets of doing so. They're feeling some type of way. I feel like it's such a benefit to just see somebody grow, and you're watching somebody learn along the way, and just to have that heart to say, I helped that person, right? Somebody helped me along my journey. Now it's time for me to turn around and help somebody else.
And that's really a good point, Rochelle, because even in where I am a mentor, I'm the mentor, I
Mhm.
still have the opportunity to learn. And,
Right.
that's something that within the relationships that I've built through the years, you know, I'm always looking for a way to learn from somebody and then return that back to them, kind of pay it forward type of thing.
I like the way to put that. The pay it forward is the best thing to do because you have to give back. And I like to say that from a mentorship perspective, you have to be strategic, right? You might not have the same mentor every single year, you might kind of switch it up and say, all right, am I ready for somebody new? But you don't stop talking to that person. You don't stop building that relationship with that person.
Exactly. I mean, it should be, even if the mentorship, so to speak, is over or has stopped, you should still have that openness and communication with that person. And it could turn into an informal mentorship going forward, where then you have a formal mentorship with somebody else. And it's not to say that the person that you have been mentoring with has given you everything that you needed. It's just that it's time for you to move and learn from somebody else. One of the things I learned at a very young age was I had a manager tell me that, you know, be who you are,
Hmm.
but learn from everybody that you interact with and see, like, I I had aspired back in the day to become a store manager and then a district manager for in the grocery business. And one of my managers had said, you're not going to be just like me, but you can learn stuff from me that fits your personality, your style. And then you're going to have another store manager a year from now, 6 months from now, and you're going to be able to learn from them. Learn their good
Mm,
habits and then tailor it to your style.
okay.
So it's you, not you trying to be somebody else. And
Mm.
that's why I tell people, be you. Don't I hate it when somebody says, well, fake it until you make it. Just be you. I mean, you're going to grow and learn. You're
Yeah.
going to make mistakes along the way.
I love that, to say that at the end of the day, you take bits and pieces of what you learn from other people. You take the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you evaluate and say, what do I want to be? That's the most important thing, is you have to make it your own, right? People are going to teach you, preach to you, do whatever they can to help train you, but you take it and do what you want with it. So that's very important to me. And I think people like myself, I'm sure, have gotten burned over the years for being too much of an open book, right? A lot of the things that people ask when they take on being a mentor and or being a sounding board from somebody is, tell me a little bit about yourself. And then you end up building a relationship with them. And then you end up telling them a lot about your personal life or a lot about your work life. And then you realize over time that they're really not a sounding board. They're somebody that kind of uses what you tell them against you, and you get burned. So I think a lot of people feel as though they don't want to be the open book, right? And they still have to be careful what they say and how they say things to people. So with that scenario and with kind of people feeling that type of way, what advice do you have for them?
So my I fully understand what you're saying because I've felt that same way before.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've learned, and it's probably been within the last 5 years, is you've got to separate at least at the beginning that mentorship and sounding board.
Mm, okay.
Don't don't use that mentor for your sounding board.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, or my definition of sounding board is somebody that you know you can go to in confidence about anything.
Yes. Yes.
Whereas a mentor, the majority of the time, I should say, a mentor is somebody that you're wanting to have help you grow professionally.
Okay.
And if you mix that mentorship and sounding board, you're opening yourself up to them using, like you mentioned, what you said as to them as a sounding board that they might use against you later on. Maybe
Mm,
not intentionally, but it can happen.
right.
One of the things that I learned, and I want to share it within this conversation, is, you know, people need to vent.
Yes.
And to me, that's where you're asking for a sounding board,
Okay.
is when you are wanting to vent. In the workplace, in the professional workplace, if somebody needs to vent, I always tell them, you can vent to me, you can say whatever you want, you can use whatever words you want,
Hmm.
but let me know up front that that's what you are doing.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because if I came to you and just started lashing out and I made the assumption that you would know that I was venting,
Yeah.
how would that make you feel if you didn't know I was venting?
One, for me, I have to mentally prepare myself, and I want to not offend that other person if something is going on. So I'd like to mentally prepare myself to make sure that I can be there for that person.
So with that, would you also possibly feel like you're being attacked if I just came and started that,
Oh, of course,
and
definitely.
so I never thought of it that way until I had a what we called senior managers at one of my previous jobs. I went into his office and I just started letting loose.
Mm.
And he told me to stop. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, why are you attacking me? I'm like, I'm not attacking you. I need to vent. I need to get this off my chest. He goes,
Right.
you came at me like you were attacking me.
Mm.
I never thought of it that way. He goes, you can come and talk to me anytime, but if you need to vent, let me know in advance. Sort of like what you said of, you that way that person has the opportunity to prepare, even though it's going to be quickly preparing
Right.
for for that. Or they can say, you know something, I understand you need to vent. Right now is not the best time. Let's circle back,
Hmm.
that type of thing. And so
Okay.
one of the things I've learned is, let people know up front, hey, I need to talk. I need to get something off my chest, because then we can be more receptive to that person and be more empathetic if needed be, not sympathetic, but empathetic,
Hmm.
and and help them through that situation.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to add as far as that mentorship towards sounding board.
So, talking about that, then, where you say you have to keep mentorship and you have to keep the sounding board separate. You can't just go to anybody. When you want to choose a sounding board, what is the best advice that you have for somebody to test it out? Like, you put a little something and you tell them something, and do you just wait and see if they'll spread the rumor or tell other people? Like, how do you test out the waters to choose that you have the right sounding board?
Oh, you would put me on the spot there. So one of the things, and it took me a long time to realize it, that even though you get a vibe that you can trust somebody,
Mhm.
doesn't always mean that you can trust them.
Right.
So a lot of times I do what you just said. I'll put a little carrot out there that won't do harm, so to speak,
Hmm.
but is enough to make somebody, if they're not trustworthy or the person that you can talk to in confidence, to see if they talk to others.
Mm.
Um, because a gossiper is a gossiper is a gossiper no matter what.
Right.
Um, you know, and I've had people say, "Oh yeah, you can tell me anything. You can trust me." And you tell them something, and then a day later, you're getting a phone call, get stopped in the you know break room at work. Oh, I heard this about you. Da da da. And you're like, wait a minute,
Mm.
one person.
Hmm.
And so you've got to be very careful of who you trust and who you believe. Um,
Hmm.
and it's very sad that you have to do that.
Right.
And I think a big part of that is that people that, I'm going to use a word, are jealous
Hmm.
of somebody's position, their status within a company, even their status out in public. They want to act like they're your friend so that they can help or try to destroy you.
Mm.
Um, you know, the other thing in looking for, you know, somebody that can be a good sounding board is you want it to be somebody that is a positive person,
Okay.
because I don't want somebody that, or I don't want to use somebody, and I hate to use that word, use somebody as a sounding board if they're that negative person.
Okay.
Because if I'm needing a sounding board, there's probably something negative going on in my life,
Hmm.
and I don't want them to add more negativity to it.
Agree. Okay. Now that's an interesting outlook. And I guess you do have to catch the person at the right time, because what if that sounding board is going through something themselves and might have something negative? How do you just not tell them? Do you just hold off if they've got something going on in their life? Do you just say, I'm not going to say anything to them because they might bounce off negativity to me? Or do you just go ahead and just say, they just might have a bad day, but I know they're a positive person?
So if it's a positive person, and if I know that there's something going on, or you can tell something might be going on
Hmm.
before I even start, saying, hey, can I share something with you? Can I bounce something off you? I need your advice, that type of thing. I'm going to ask them up front, hey, I know you're going through stuff. You know, do you have time to talk for a few minutes?
Okay.
And
Okay.
a if it's a true person that, you know, you can use as a sounding board, they should be able to be honest enough to say, you know something, right now is not the right time. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not in a place, and I want to make sure that I do what's right for you.
Gotcha.
Um, and vice versa. Yeah, no worries. That's kind of behind me, that type of thing.
Hmm.
Because first and foremost, you, as a person taking on being the sounding board, you have to be in a good place yourself. You have to make
Hmm.
sure you're in the right place.
Okay.
And that's where I think people run into issues of, I'll use the word gossiping, is like, let's say, I'm venting, or using somebody as a sounding board, and they've been having a bad day and all that. Well, now they need to go and vent
Right.
because of what I have said triggered what's going on in their life. And so to me, it's really important to have that open, honest dialogue.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I tell people I'm a big boy. I I can take the honesty. You
Yes.
know, I'd rather you be honest and say, no, just do it respectfully,
Right.
and we're good. I'm not gonna go, oh, well, you just don't want to deal with it, or it's gonna be okay. Yeah, I get it. And you should have more than one person as a sounding board,
Okay.
um, because one, you know, you don't want to necessarily feel like you're overwhelming, or taking them for granted, or taking
Ooh,
advantage of them.
gotcha.
And me being a male, there's certain things that I will only talk to a guy about,
Right.
and there's certain things that I'm probably only going to talk to a woman about.
True.
And it's very important in a relationship that the husband and wife can utilize each other as sounding boards, but also respect the fact that they're not always going to use each other as sounding boards.
You hit it right on the nail. That's going to be my next question. How do you balance the two? Because you can't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly.
Mm.
And that's one of the very fortunate things that I have with my wife
Mhm.
is I understand that, she might have something going on, and it's not something that I can fix, but somebody else can.
Okay.
And I'm not going to try to come between that, thinking that that makes me less of a person to her, or makes her love me less.
Mm,
I'm going to be like, oh, I am thankful that you do have somebody that can help you through that,
right.
because there's stuff that I can do for her, but there's stuff that I can't. I mean, it's just the way it is. As much as we want to, of for our spouses to be there and be able to fix anything and everything, it's not feasible, you know.
That's
So
awesome. That is a really good point. Is one, two, right? I think one of the things you've always taught me is you don't want to overwhelm your significant other. And you may have a lot on your plate, they may have a lot on their plate, and you have to find the balance between the two. And I think it's really important that you honed in on the fact that you have to have a balance, right? You don't always go to the same person for everything because you don't want to just overwhelm them. And then also, that person just might not be able to help you like somebody else might be able to. And people have to understand that. And I think that's really important because a lot of times people tend to put all their eggs in one basket and they go to one person for everything,
agreed.
and say, oh my goodness, I need you here. And then when they don't have that person anymore, their whole world comes crashing down because that was the one person they always had.
Either their whole world comes crashing down, or they end up losing that person because it's not a mutual give and take.
Mm, that's
You don't
important.
always want to, and you brought it up, you don't always want to be taking, you want to be able to return what they've given to you.
Hmm.
And if you centralize it to one person, they could end up feeling that way. That,
Right.
and so that's where, it's important to be able to be open and honest with your sounding board or sounding boards and say, hey, I know you got a lot on your plate. Do you have time? That type of thing.
Mm. Wow, no, that's really great. Now, kind of switching gears a little bit to somebody who wants to create a business plan or somebody that wants to create or get their business started. They might need a sounding board or they might need a mentor to say, hey, here's my business plan. Can you look at this for me, or can you give me advice to see if I'm going in the right direction? Some people are very hesitant to do that because they don't want their ideas to get stolen, right? And they're very hesitant to do that as well because they don't want that person saying, oh, no, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. And then 2 weeks later, that idea is just out there, or maybe even a year later, that idea is out there. How do you, or what advice would you give to somebody that, again, is trying to get something started, but they're just fearful that that person might steal their idea?
So if you're in fear of somebody stealing your idea, or you're in fear of a specific person that you want to talk to about it stealing your idea, that's not the person you want to be talking to.
Mhm.
When it comes to, your aspirations, to start a business, that type of thing, one, you want to have somebody that you can talk to that has knowledge of what you're wanting to do,
Okay.
but you also want to have somebody that you can trust. Um, and it should be probably somebody that you already trust. I wouldn't go into that and go, well, Johnny told me Lucy has an interest in this. Maybe I should go talk to Lucy about this.
Hmm.
And you really don't know Lucy that well. You know Johnny really well. And then Lucy might steal your idea. I'm also a firm believer that, if somebody steals your idea, then you just go and make that idea better than they did.
Yeah.
um, and use that as a driving, to drive you to be more successful.
Gotcha.
If it's a product or something that you can patent, maybe get that patenting process started before you start talking to other people in that industry. Um,
Mhm.
it's very interesting to see in the world of business that, you know, how are you going to find out about an industry if you don't talk to the people that are in that industry?
Right.
So, I think about, I'll use your Aspire.
Mhm.
You know, it wasn't something that just one morning you woke up and said, "I'm going to start recording."
Right.
You had to put a plan in place.
Hmm.
Um, and you had to, find out from other people what it is that they did to make a similar type of business successful.
Hmm.
And it makes me think about a friend of mine that lives up in Massachusetts, and he has his own podcast, um, YouTube channel, um, the whole 9 yards. And within the industry that he is working in, he's noticing had started noticing people copying how he was doing his stuff.
Mm.
And he actually got really upset about it. And I'm like, why are you getting upset? You actually should feel, proud that somebody is trying to be like you, because that's showing that how successful you are. And he was so focused on, well, they're going to overtake me.
Mm.
And you shouldn't have that mentality, you
Okay.
know. Um, for your Aspire business, reaching out to other people that do podcast and YouTube and all, but maybe not in the same line as you do. Um, I've gotten in the last year and a half or so more interested in listening to podcasts, watching YouTube, you know, to learn more, and actually have a couple close friends that do the exact same thing you're doing.
Hmm.
I have learned from just watching their shows. One of them, they record the second Wednesday of every month. I try to go and watch them record to
Hmm.
one, learn more about how to handle the camera, that type of thing. And, you know, but I don't know editing. And
Hmm.
so I know, though, because I've built that relationship without even telling them, because I've thought about doing kind of the same thing without telling them, hey, I'm learning from you, you know, so that then I can determine if I start talking to them about it, I should already know based off of my relationship that I've developed, are they going to be trustworthy, or are they going to steal my idea?
Hmm.
And so that's a way to kind of learn or have your guard up is,
For
you
sure.
know, ask somebody questions, but don't put all your cards out there on the table.
That's awesome. And I think one of the things that people have to understand is nothing is new under the sun. A lot of these things have been done before. You have to put your own spin on it, right? And I think that that's what people are missing. Is I love the point that you told your friend was, you should be honored. You should be happy that somebody wants to kind of take what you have and grow from it and build on your foundation. At the end of the day, we're all here to inspire other people to succeed in their own way. And I think that's the preface of everything Aspire, is find what works for you and go with it, right? Not saying, oh man, don't steal this person's idea or don't go doing that. somewhere along the line, somebody has come up with what you are doing may have not been as successful as you are, or may have thought about it. And I think that that's what people have to understand is to find your niche and figure out what works best for you. And I think it's important, like you said, is finding the right people to talk to help them grow, but don't give them everything. One thing I learned was that sometimes people will unintentionally steal your idea just because they heard it 2, 3 years ago from a conversation that you might have had with them when you might have just put a little bug in their ear. And they'll go and they'll say, you know what? I want to do that. But they didn't realize that they heard that from you 2 or 3 years ago. They're just by in conversation. So sometimes people might feel some type of way and go, oh my goodness, they stole my idea. It wasn't intentional. It was just because that was just something they thought that they could do because they heard it before, or they think they can build upon it. But I think that that's important, like you said, is just to be mindful and be careful. Don't share everything.
Don't be that open book.
Yes, right.
And sometimes it's very hard not to be that open book,
Hmm.
especially if that's not your personality. You
Right,
know,
right.
um, you know me fairly well. I a lot of times wear my emotions on my sleeve. Where
Yes,
people know, and you know, it's not always a bad thing. The other thing is with me, I'll tell people up front, you're going to get point blank the honest truth.
heck yeah.
I'm going to be very blunt with you,
You might not like it either.
and it's not to try to hurt you,
Hmm.
but if I'm not that way, and then something happens that is negative towards you, that I might have been able to prevent by being upfront and honest instead of trying to go, well, you could, no.
Could have been a little
I mean,
nicer.
you know, and you can attest to it. I've told you some things before that you're probably like, I can't believe he's being that straightforward and
It's like,
blunt with me. You know, and I've learned through time and through life that you know you've got to be, if you're not open and honest with people, um, one, you're not going to figure out who you can and can't trust,
true.
because if you're not being open and honest, how can you expect that person on that other end to be open and honest with you?
Mm, mm, mm. And it made me think about something. One of my previous episodes was about protecting your peace. But I also don't know if you think that you should also help to protect other people's peace, right? If they're not feeling up to par, they don't look like they can hear you vent, then help them protect their peace and don't vent towards them because it's not a good time. It's not always about you and your issues and your problems. But yes, have a sounding board, but also be mindful of their aura and their energy.
Eh, you're exactly right. The other thing is you know I and I'll use you as an example. I cannot make Rochelle happy.
Right.
I also cannot make Rochelle unhappy.
Hmm.
But my actions can influence how Rochelle feels.
Right.
At the end of the day, Rochelle is responsible for her own happiness or unhappiness.
Mm.
And so
E.
if you have the mindset of, well, you know, I can take it, just give it to me.
Yeah.
You really can't. That's not on the person that's giving it to you.
Mm.
You. But again, it always falls back to that open and honest communication.
Hmm. Mm. You hit it right in the nail. And I think that's something that's important for everybody here to understand is you control your happiness. If you allow other people to control your emotions, you allow them to control you. And I think that's something that you've always been very big on when it comes to that, is saying, no, it's you. At the end of the day, what do you want? How do you want to feel? Because if people know that you're upset, or people know that you're mad, or people know that you're sad, they know what makes you tick. And again, they can use that against you. So you have to be careful who you talk to, because if you vent to them about an issue, they'll know that that makes you tick, and they might
Yep.
end up forcing something or that same scenario to happen to you as well.
Yep. And it's pretty sad that, you can get burnt
Mm.
by that.
Yes. Yes.
Then that trust factor is hard to allow yourself to trust anybody ever again.
Mm.
Um,
Yes.
and so you've got to be able to allow yourself to get burnt, get hurt.
Mm.
Um,
Sad to say, but
because
yes.
that's one of the only ways you're going to be able to grow.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing with all this is being accountable for you.
Mm.
You know, when we talk about we're responsible for our own happiness, well, that's being accountable for yourself, um,
Mm.
holding yourself accountable, and not making those excuses. Well, this happened because Johnny made me do it, or Johnny made me feel this way, or, well, you know, I got home late because Johnny made me stay at the club, you know, or, you know, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
But hold yourself accountable. You know
Hold yourself
something?
accountable.
I'm home late, sweetheart, because I decided I wanted to stay and hang out with Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not say, well, Johnny made me. No, Johnny didn't make you do nothing.
Nope.
You have your own mind and all that. And if you don't want to have your own mind, then why are you existing?
Oops. Very great
Again,
question.
just being honest and straightforward. You know, then why
Open
are
and
you
honest.
here if you're not going to be your own person?
Right.
And I tell people this all the time. Um, you know, it took me probably 45 years to realize the stuff that I realized. You know, there's probably nothing somebody could tell me that wouldn't surprise me. And um, I'm gonna say this. Please forgive me for saying this, but I've been to hell and back more than one time. I've been through a whole lot in my life. Good times, bad times, horrible times. But I'm still here, and I'm still gonna
Exactly.
be here because I'm gonna keep plugging away.
Exactly.
So the good Lord decides that it's time for me to go, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be who I am. And that's what everybody should be. Wish everybody had that attitude,
I wish
because
I wish too.
this world and country would be such a much nicer place to be.
Right. But one thing I have to say about you, James, is you didn't allow the past to make you who you are and make you bitter. You learned from it, which helped you grow, but that bitterness is not inside you.
So, you know how that changed? Because it was at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother, like I said, probably till I was 45 years old, my mother helped me through a very difficult time. And then Tiffany, my wife now,
Mm-hmm.
came into my life, and you know, is our life perfect? No.
No one's life is perfect.
But 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 it is perfect to us.
And I love
And
that.
that's what is important. Um, is that as unperfect as it is, it's perfect.
I love that. And I think that's where we can end on tonight's note is saying, look at that. At the end of the day, you might not be like the person next to you, and you might want to aspire to be that person, but you have to be your own person. And don't let your past circumstances dim your light to shine. And again, as we've talked about before, God will place people in your life to help you get you out of that funk and to help you put that light on to shine. But make it your own. And I think I just appreciate you so very much, James, for being on today because you've helped me a lot. And I really hope that you've kind of given and other people feel like you've given them the nuggets that they need in order for them to continue to one, find the right mentor, understand that it's okay to have a sounding board, but test it out. Sometimes you have to fall flat on your face to figure out who your sounding board is by making a couple of mistakes or telling people some things, but reach out to others. There are people out there for you, and you don't have to be so lonely in the world, but you do have to be careful and figure out a way to just have your light shine in your own way. And again, I appreciate you so very much because you've helped me a lot. And again, I hope others feel the same way tonight. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Rochelle, because I can say the same thing about you.
Aw.
We, it's a mutual friendship, mutual respect for one another, and that's the key for me.
Definitely.
So, thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. And I'll catch you at the next episode.